Okay, well, welcome to our April 2017 webinar. I'm so glad to see you guys here. Appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. We've got some exciting things we want to share with you today and also answer any questions that you may have about, you know, any of the product or best practices or any of that stuff. So yeah, we always enjoy these webinars. We always talk about them afterwards and get so many good questions and comments from everybody. Really appreciate that. Okay, so let me get started. Got most of the team here today, so we should be able to answer anything that you throw at us. Um, and today, in terms of an agenda, I want to show you our new reporting engine. That's going to be shipping within the next week. And we're very excited about it. We're working really hard on this to completely overhaul the reporting engine and add some new reports and some new comparisons and cool things. I want to show that to you here in just a minute. And then there have been a number of industry updates, things going on in the industry. We like to always bring those things to you as well because we spend a lot of time, as um, understanding what's happening and how to be proactive and updating both our thoughts and our product and everything in terms of what's going on in the industry. So Mike and Aaron have have lots of things there to cover as well, and then Q&A. So as you guys know, those of you who have been here before, feel free to ask questions along the way. I mean, anybody can ask, but those people who are regulars at our webinars know that we like to answer as we go. So we usually try to answer questions as we go, and then have a little time at the end in case we missed anything. But I do see a lot of new names there, so that's why I wanted to bring that up. So okay, let me jump into the reporting engine. I want to talk about this first, and then we're going to do the industry update right after that. Lots to show you here. The new reporting engine is a completely new design. As I mentioned, we've got some new reports and some redesigned reports. So we did completely redesign the business report, completely redesign the performance report. There's a brand new Net Promoter Score report, and within there's a comparison, so you can compare different locations or labels or brands. I'm going to show you how that works. We also redesigned the reviews report, and then we have a new comparison report in there. We now support custom date ranges for these reports, which is really nice. You can print to PDF and export. And anyway, a lot more sort of insights and richness to what we're doing in the reports. So let me jump into the demo. So give me 1 second here as I pop over my screen to the report. All right, so this is the new performance report. As you'll see, it looks a lot different. It looks a lot different, and we had a performance report before, but we've added some new things to this and added some really interesting a new design as well. Hopefully something that's much clearer, easier to understand. So this allows you to look at the performance for each location. This can also automatically be emailed to you on a weekly or monthly basis, or you can just access it anytime in the platform. There's a new reports menu here, and you'll see we have 4 main reports, and then within some of these we have comparisons, and I'll show you how that works. But this one is the performance report. And we've added some new, more detailed information. We also have the ability now to just specify a custom date range. So you'll see you can specify, instead of the defaults we give you, like show me data for lifetime or the past 30 or the past 7 days. Now you can define a completely new, complete custom date range. We also show the Net Promoter Score ratings by category with the formula, so you can see the 46 promoters, 21 passives, 7 detractors, and then how we compute the Net Promoter Score as well. We have the survey questions here. So in this case, the business ranked based on speed, waiting room, mechanic, and we've got, so this is for businesses that are using our survey questions to try and zero in on an area and make sure, hey, are we having problems with people waiting too long, or are we having problems with, whatever it is? We can zoom in and capture that. And so we show that now. We also show this Net Promoter Score month over month in a visual chart. that you can go through and just kind of scan. We show the reviews by specific sites. So here are the reviews on Facebook and Google on how many since being on the platform, what the total review count is. And then we also have the visual feedback process funnel here. And so this shows with percentages for things like open rate and the feedback rate and clicks to review sites and how are those looking. So it's kind of like how many review requests were sent, how many were opened, how many sent us feedback, how many clicked through to review sites, and I can break this out by SMS or email or all. So by default, it shows you all feedback requests, but you can say, I just want to see SMS, or I just want to see email, or I want to see everything, and you can adjust that. It's kind of nice because it shows you some, it gives you a map of how you're doing and things like that along the way with your feedback funnel. We also have, are showing additional entry points now, like the kiosk mode and the store locator. The store locator, you may not be aware of. Some of our bigger brands are using that in case, let's say on the receipt, you can say, hey, go review us over here, or maybe your people can go to your website. You can just have a link on the website, and then they can go find your store location to leave you feedback. And so those would be captured as well. So that is the new performance report, the updated, redesigned performance report. Next, I want to show you this Net Promoter Score report. This is a brand new report. And you're going to see some of the same things, but actually a lot of cool different stuff too. So this report helps you better understand your Net Promoter Score rating and your customer sentiment and comments. So here I've got, the Net Promoter Score scale. I again have the ability to choose custom date ranges or past 30, past 7, or lifetime. The customer CSV export is here now too. That was available before. We're trying to make it easy. If you wanted to export your customer list and your feedback, you can do that very easily.
Yep. And that actually, Don, I wanted to point out, so that used to be the customer level reporting choice that was in your navigation. So it's no longer in the navigation. It's now a button that's on the Net Promoter Score report. So if you just want to click on it, Don, you'll see the same choices that you had before in being able to select what are you going to download in that CSV export and what date range you want to pull it down for. And then it'll all of the same data, all of the same ways, but instead of its own page, it's now just a function in the NPS report.
Yep, cool, thanks, Aaron. You can also save any of these reports as a PDF, which is really cool. So I can just click Save PDF, and then it will generate a PDF file for me. This is, because I'm on a Mac, it opens it up in preview automatically. If you had a Windows PC, it'd be a similar thing. You just need Acrobat. And here I've got the report as a PDF file. So that's kind of handy if I wanted to share and distribute that to someone. Yeah, so the other thing to mention is we also have the NPS breakdown here with the survey questions. I like this NPS categories bar, this chart. This is sort of like a bar chart to help you understand the percentage of your customers that are in each category. So I can see, well, who are my promoters? Who are my passives? And I can see not only what the distribution is, but who they are. And I could say, look, I just want to have a look at all of my detractors. I can just click on View All, and then it takes me to my customer dashboard showing me those people directly. So I can just zoom in on who my promoters are, or who my detractors are, or who my passives are that I need to kind of nudge up into promoters. It just gives me a nice way to do that. And then at the bottom, I've got that month-over-month chart where I can see, what my Net Promoter Score is each month, how much feedback I got for each month, and yeah, so it just gives us a nice little thing. So yeah, when will the redesign roll out for customers? Lisa is asking. Well, we're going to have it out by next Monday. So within a week, you'll have this. Right now, as you can see, it's pretty much done. What we're doing now is just updating our user guide and creating some videos and tutorials and blog posts, and so it's kind of like the launch phase for us, right, where we're pulling together all the materials so that we can show it so that everyone understands what it does. I mean, not everyone is cool like you guys and comes to the webinars, so we've got to have different ways for people to look at the reports and stuff. So one of the things that's really, and I see some questions from Justin and Steve, and maybe you know, Mike and Aaron, you can help me track some of those questions for later because they even say actually later I would like to ask you this question, which is a little different than what we're talking about right now. So we'll come back to those. Um, all right, so what's really exciting also on this report that I think is cool is this comparison. So this is the ability now for me to go into the comparison tab and say, hey, how can I compare different locations or different labels or different date ranges for this account and understand how one is performing better than another? So each element on here is represented with a data card like this that shows the element's performance. So just as a quick example, let me show you, I'm going to say, let me compare this location of Aaron's Auto versus the Uptown location, and I click add, and a couple of things happen. First of all, it adds another line on this chart which I can pivot and change. I can reorder and say, I want to order by, right now it's ordered by Net Promoter Score. Let me order this by responses instead. See who's doing better in terms of responses or in terms of promoters or survey questions. And so it gives me different ways to analyze it. And then I have these data cards below where I can look at, here is the data card for Aaron's Auto, and then here's the one for the Uptown location, and I can see, wow, the Net Promoter Score is a little higher for Aaron's Auto than the Uptown location, and I can start to dig into that and see what's going on. So it's really nice to be able to compare multiple locations like that, and then to order the results in any way that you want. So this is kind of nice because I have these, I can do this. I also have these report templates that I can go in and I can save and say, well, first of all, the nice thing about the report templates is that I can create one of these for comparisons, and then I can go give it a name and save it. And then I can choose whether I just want this to be for me, or do I want everyone of all the other users in our system, which, so this is still only be limited to your account, but global within, you can make it global within your account so that other users in your account would be able to see your report, which is kind of nice. So I created a different one where I said, well, here's one that's all versus brand that was saved before. And now I want to show you that one. So you can see I just clicked the save report, and there it is. This is going to show each of the locations there. It's auto, and then brand is sort of like an accumulation of all the locations. And just so you see what I'm talking about, if I go back to the business dashboard, I have 3 locations here. And what I'm doing is I was comparing Aaron's Auto versus the aggregation of all 3 when I said brand. But there are different ways that I can do that. Let me jump back into this report again.
While you're doing that, Don, it's important to point out, so with the comparison feature, you can do up to comparison of 6 different data tiles at one time. So if you're a multi-location outfit, you can do 6 locations all at one time, one versus another versus another versus another. You can do 4 versus a brand. You can do 3 labels versus a brand versus a location. You can use those elements however you want, but you can compare 6 of those elements at any one time. And then what's important for, say you are a single location business, as Don has just selected here, you can compare date ranges from stuff. So you don't have other locations or brand or labels to compare to, but you can compare one set of time versus another set of time. So you can compare 1 month versus another month, a year versus a year, whatever you want to set for a date range for your location, and be able to compare to, you know, the past or specific months that you want to get a handle on.
Will asked the question. I am assuming if you are doing review only, nothing will populate the MPS report. No matter what your setting is, you're going to be gathering MPS data. In other words, if you move the scale to the email but don't ask for feedback, you will still be gathering MPS data, and we will be able to report on it. So you will still have MPS functionality, and you will have access to.
Yeah, the net promoter score question in the ratings only mode is still the initial qualifier, so you'll still have net promoter score and the breakdown.
Yep. Cool. Thanks, guys. So, yeah, the nice thing too is that, like I just loaded up this saved report for December versus June versus April. So as Aaron was saying, if I'm just managing a single location, then I can create these different date ranges and keep adding them. And so here you can see December of 2015, I had a net promoter score of 55 and I had 12 promoters and 10 passes. I wasn't during survey questions. Then I can move up to April of, I did all of April for 2017. Here my net promoter score is a little bit lower, but now I'm doing survey questions and I can have that data. Here I'm looking at June of 2016. So we've definitely improved since then. So here now I'm looking at different date ranges within the same location. So that's what Aaron was referring to. It gives me a nice way to see, wow, how did we do back when we had the special offers going in April, or maybe there was something else that happened and you want to compare. So you can do that. And then if you have multiple locations is nice because as we were showing, you can just compare against the label. You can use labels, you can use locations, you can use against the whole brand and everything. You can
So
save
Rob,
reports.
Don, Robbie asked the question, how does brand comparison feature work for white label agencies with multiple brands in their account? It is, typically in that situation, you would use the label feature instead of the brand roll-up. Because the brand looks at everything in your account, whereas the label feature could look at sub listings by client in your account. So it wouldn't, if you're in that situation, then you just use label, not brand.
Exactly. So you'd use the labels here and specify within your business dashboard, and then when you're in your report, go into the business, oops, I'm sorry, I just messed up. That was the wrong report. So let's say I was in, Uptown and I wanted to do my report, then I would say, I would do my when I did my comparison, I would just say, versus this location or this label versus this label, and I would do it from there instead of selecting brand, because brand. It's a good point though. Who asked that?
Robbie, yeah.
Robbie, yeah, Robbie. So that's a good point. You wouldn't want to use brand if you had different brands in your overall account. So.
Well, you could. It could tell you you'd understand the average of everything that's in your account, so it will tell you something. But for that specific client, you would want to make sure you have a brand label for that client, so you can see the accumulation of all 10 or 15 or 50 of their locations.
And Mark had a question, Don, Aaron. Why is NPS score always green even if less than 70? I'm not sure where it's green, but I'm colorblind.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean this result? Yeah, that's a good point. We should probably change this color to reflect which part of the range that it's in. That's an excellent catch. Thank you for that. If that's what you meant. Who asked that question?
Mark Ryan.
Mark, thank you.
Mark Ryan Pollock.
Yeah, thanks. Aaron, do you agree? I think that would be a great thing to do. Let's just make it. Yep. Cool. Thank you.
So, Don, would you do the Jira thing on that right now?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in and blog that.
Mark, we will do it. I was making a joke because Don always is the one who does the Jira ticket.
Yeah, we use a system called Jira to do all of our tracking of, bugs and features and everything else. And these guys like giving me stuff to put into Jira. So thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, Don. Anytime. That's why they call me Chief Delegation Officer.
Gonna need to come up with a new title for you, I think.
Well, I like that one.
All right, the next report is the reviews report. And this is an updated version. We totally redesigned the review monitoring report. Has a lot of helpful data points for your online reviews, including the sources, types, average rating, review growth, and the individual reviews themselves, what they call like the verbatim, the actual stuff. Again, we have the ability to do custom date ranges in addition to the default to the easy picks here. You can also save as a PDF. All the reviews report, it shows you the overall ratings for your sites. So your overall rating for everything is 3.6. Shows you your growth since joining in terms of reviews. It shows you your distribution across the different stars, like what kind of ratings you're getting and what the sources are and what your average review score is on each of those. It also has this sort of track per month of the online reviews you're getting every month. This just kind of sample data in here, so you're seeing a lot of fluctuation, but normally you would see a nice growth line here. for your business. And then it shows you the actual review information too. So you can go into the details and look at all the reviews and sort. So you can also do searches. So I noticed in this review it says the basic car wash is $10 and my cat was still dirty afterward, which I thought was kind of funny. But if I searched for cat, you'll see it's only showing me that one with the word in it. So I can filter based on searches. I can also filter by site and say, oh, show me all of the, I just want to see by site what I'm getting. Or you can filter by rating as well and say, just show me the, the 5 stars at the top or the 1 stars at the top. And you can filter by date, by name, and then you can get a direct link as well to the actual profile. So here you can download a CSV file of this information. You can decide if you want to show more than 10 entries, all the cool stuff like that. So it's pretty nice. You've got a lot more richness to the report than, I think it looks nicer as well than before. And we have the comparison ability in here as well.
John, before you go on to the comparison ability,
yeah.
Steve Griswold asked a question early on. It was for later. I'd love a way in the tool to copy the reviews each month so I can send them in an email to my agents. Right now, I copy each client review and paste them into an email. They just love to read the reviews each month. So this report will allow you to do that, right? You basically set the month's time, go into the particular agent, click, and it will then give you that report as a PDF. So you'll no longer have to copy and paste, Steve. I think if I understood your question correctly, this report will do that. Let me know if I did.
You could set the date range just for the specific month, and they'll pull those reviews, and then you could save it as a PDF and send it. As of phase 2, don't have a timeline on it yet, but we will be eventually adding for any of these reports that you'll be able to add an email feature to any of those reports. So eventually down the line, maybe 60 or 90 days out, the same way the performance report works, you'll be able to do some automatic sending on a monthly basis of reviews reports, NPS reports, or the business report as well.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thanks for keeping up with the questions there, guys. So now I've got the comparison tab here as well. So I can do the same kind of comparisons as we talked about before by date ranges or by label or location. Here we'll just do, a couple of locations here, and you can map them out, see who's doing better. Aaron's uptown or downtown. I have the cards again, and these cards have some different information on because I'm in the review report. Here it's giving me the reviews and the ratings distribution and the review sources and how many from each and the average scores, and I can compare those in the cards right here. I can also do all the order by stuff and say, show me, right now the default's by rating, but I could say by all the 5 stars, or I could say by review sources, and do it that way. And
one thing to point out, when you do the order by, not only does the chart change, but it will reorder the data cards below. So like now, whatever Don just clicked on, it's
by reviews.
Okay, so by number of reviews, so it'll go and change that below where it'll reorder which one has the most reviews. I'm guessing you selected since joining.
Yeah.
So now in rating, it'll order them by whichever is the highest rating. So downtown with 4.6, then uptown with 3.6. So it reorders the cards anytime you select an order by. That's what the order by is queuing two things, both the order of the cards you have below, and again, you can have up to 6 of these. And it's also changing and giving you a chart comparing the data that you want to look at with it.
Yep, and just like before, we have the ability to do report templates here. So you can create, your own report and say, wow, I like this one of uptown versus downtown. So I'm going to go and save this one. And now I'm just going to be, I could pull this up instead of having to go back and configure the comparisons next time. I can just click on this one and boom, it's just going to pull that report up for me. So it's that whole saved report thing's kind of nice because then I can then save it as a PDF or, pull it up just as in an instant, right?
One other thing to mention with these two, you have the ability to remove any of the data cards. So say you added 5 or 6 and there's one you wanted to pull out of it. or when you came into it and there's already a location preloaded and you don't want that location to be part of your comparison, just use the X in the upper right corner, and when you click that, it'll remove that data card from the comparison.
Yep. Cool, so that's the reviews report. And let me jump back to the main Aaron's Auto for this last report, or actually it doesn't matter, this is for all of them. So this is the business report, which has also been redesigned, trying to bring some data, more data into this visual sortable format. If you're a single location, you could just review, quickly see all this data, for your location. If you're multi-location, then you can start sorting on across your locations. I want to sort by Net Promoter Score. I wonder who's sending the most review or feedback requests and who has the best open rate. And so I could do sort by any of these columns. It also allows me to use labels. If I wanted to sort by labels and only show certain ones, then I can do that as well. I can also specify date ranges. I can save as PDF, just like the other reports. We have a new column here for the feedback rate that wasn't showing before, so I can see what my rate of feedback is based on how many are sent out, how many feedback requests. I have a keyword search box, so if I had lots of locations to manage, I could use that. You'll see the labels are displayed here as well. You can also, in the past we had a business level report that was up in the menu, and it was essentially just a CSV export. We have that here as well. So you can download all the business details to a CSV if you prefer that approach. But we tried to make this chart to be a lot more, just easily sortable and sliceable. You can also set how many that you want to show, how many entries per page, and page through them here as well. So
yeah. So Jeff had asked earlier when we were doing some of the other reports, plans to do this on the business level, and I'm guessing, Jeff, when you asked that, this is what you wanted. So we took that business level reporting into a visual format. You can still download it as well, but then you're able to see all of this table data for, as you hinted at in your question, all 50 plus of your locations. So you'd be able to see all these, and then you can use the ascending or descending sort to be able to see, who's sent the most requests, or who has the highest NPS, or who has the lowest amount of total reviews. So you can easily sort through that and then be able to jump into those locations, or it'll help cue you into which locations you want to do NPS or review comparisons on.
So Robbie had a comment. He said, "This is the sexiness I was talking about several months ago. Nice work, team."
hey, thanks, Robbie.
Thanks, Robbie.
You worked hard on
Software can be sexy.
And Mark was asking, this interface is cool and colorful, should make it coordinate throughout. And yeah, I mean, that's the other thing to know here is this is a preview of what, you're going to see in other parts of the product too. So definitely.
Yeah, I did answer in the question. This is kind of a sneak peek to a full back-end remodel, a V2 that we will be working on over the summer. Getting these reports out was first, and then we'll be shipping a couple other features hopefully over the next 30 to 45 days, and then we'll be pretty heads down for the summer on a revamp of everything in the back end and improving some of the UX and the flow and the accessibility of things, and we're really, really excited about what all that's going to entail. But this is very close to the look and feel that you're going to see with it.
And then
Jeff asked up to how many locations. I think, does this show a maximum of 100 at a time or more? This report.
Yeah, it's 100 per page. Yeah.
Per page. But in terms of the brand view, that aggregates them all, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, you could sort by like just show the labels and show the 100 for that brand, right?
Right.
Philip was also asking about the PDFs, if they will be labeled with white labeled, and that answer to that is yeah. Yeah, when you save a PDF, it'll have your branding on it if you white labeled. And then Greg says, not sure if you said this, but are the date ranges on the reports dynamic? So you set up a template with a date range set to last month. Then when you bring that up against the next month, will it reflect the prior month? Well, the way our date ranges work, like let me just go into one of these reports. Let's go to the NPS report. The way the
Yeah, and I
date
don't
range,
actually know for sure if the template saves the date range that's set. It obviously saves the elements that are set, but I think he's wondering if you do a specific date range, when you go to pull that template, will it always be that date range?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be. It would always be because, right? Because,
Well, you already kind of proved it, I guess, didn't you, between the one report that you had?
yeah, yeah. So like these are relative, right? Always past 30 or past 7 or lifetime, but when you go in to specify a date range in comparison, that is that what you mean by comparison or
So I have one note to make here that while software can be sexy, it can also be freaking complicated because the many choices, we haven't even tested them all yet. So I guess,
but these are specified as specific date range here. So that's going to just hold true. It's not going to like it doesn't move on a sliding scale, right?
Yep. So
And
if you set up a template with a specific date range, then it will have that date range. If you set it for last 30 days, it'll always pull the rolling last 30 days when you access it.
yeah. Yep. Robbie says, I submitted some feature requests that would allow me to close a 300 location brand. Those features be added. I would be ecstatic. Okay. Thanks, Robbie. We will definitely
I
check
told,
those out.
I told him to just forward it to Aaron and myself too, just
Okay.
so we can take a quick look at it.
Steve, I see the online review CSV report shows the reviews for use at Google, but it's a report that shows the widget reviews people leave in the Get 5 Stars widget. Okay. Aaron, do you, so what he's asking for is, so this is showing the online reviews, but what Steve's saying is there a report to show me the feedback that the customers leave? Well, essentially that's right here. That's where you see all this, and we have all the filters to be able to say, okay, I want to see the promoters. These are those people, right? Or show me my per detractors, or show me. So we have the filters there, and then we also have in the NPS report. So all of this data this is feedback that was left actually by customers. So we have that information, and this would be a capture of all the feedback that customers have left you directly in the system, as compared to this report, which is showing you online reviews that have been left for you on Facebook and Google and other sites. And then we're trying to also show data in the business report that says, hey, here's how many people are clicking on the review links, and here's how many new reviews that you've been getting. So I don't know, Steve, if I've answered your question.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
so there are a couple different ways. Obviously, the NPS report is showing anywhere from the last 8 to 10 in each category. So that's going to give you a very recent snapshot when you pull that together.
But if you click through, though, and for your promoters, this will show you all of them here.
Right. So, and if you want to remove that filter, Don, right, just allowing them to pull is one of the filters, like just feedback left.
Yep.
So there you'd click all feedback received, and then you can use the export feature down at the bottom to be able to pull that
export it out. You could do that.
So
it's a good idea, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, this is a major step forward for us in both the data exposed and the way we're presenting it, and some of the further ways. It's part of, we've already caught a couple of things today to tighten up a little bit, and it's the reason why we wanted to put it out there and show it off a little bit before we launch it. But then once you get in and start using it, please, take the time to send us an email, either support@GetFiveStars with any ideas, something that would make it easier, or something that you feel is missing. We obviously want to take into account what our users are feeling and thinking with it, to see if those things make sense to incorporate them into these reports. So,
quick question here. Robbie asked this early on. Are the survey response questions exposed to API?
that is a really good question. I'm almost positive I saw that. Thomas is out sick today, so he's not on the call. So I'll find out though, Robbie. I should know that. You stumped me. That is not fair. I'm pretty sure though that you could do an API call to get that data. Okay, great. So, wow, thanks for all the good suggestions and feedback, you guys.
So yeah, those
more.
are available, just to note. Get business survey results and get customer survey answers are both API points in the.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Yep,
Beautiful.
Adrian asked, what's the best way to display the live dashboard in a staff area with a big screen to encourage team involvement? So, probably the performance report would be the easiest thing, just to have logged in and pulled up on that screen, because that's going to give you, some of your initial things like Net Promoter Score and your Net Promoter Score breakdown. Depending on the size of your screen, you most likely will be able to, get exactly what you see right now, right? The NPS score, the breakdown. If you're using survey questions, it'll show you those ratings, and then how you're doing month over month as well. Well, all of that would be able to display, and that's probably what's most important.
Yeah, that would be the best one, I think.
So that would definitely be one way to be able to share that with a staff view.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea. I saw another question here from Frank. When will you add the ability to add a photo to a review? Oh yeah, Frank, we are working on that. I don't have a date for you, but we've experimented with lots of different ideas on that. So appreciate your patience, but we're working on it.
And one of the things that requires is for us to update our designs on our widget and our functionality of our widget, and so we have to do that, I think, first, which we are doing. So
Steve says, yeah, thanks, Mike. Steve says, GetFiveStars has been amazing. I've been using it over a year, and your reviews are much higher than I expected. Thanks again. Thank you, Steve. I can't tell you how much that means to hear those kind of stories. That always makes us feel great, because we are working really hard. I hope you guys know, like, every day, that's what we do. We wake up and we figure out stuff like this, like how can we do a better job with reports? How can we make the interface easier? How can we streamline the feedback flows? How can we do all that stuff? So I can't tell you how much that means to hear those kinds of stories. Thank you.
I wake up every day and think those things, and then think, how can I delegate this to somebody?
You're very good at your job, Mike.
Aren't I? That's why I am the CDO.
Will was asking if for the ability to see trends, to verbatims and comment themes and sentiment. Will, we've actually already started partnering with a natural language processing technology company, and we would love if you have specific interest in that, if you want to email either Don or myself, Don at or Aaron at, and we can set up a time to do a demo with you to show what that looks like and how it works. But we do have that ability. It is an additional fee on top of our platform, but we can definitely make that work. We have a really cool technology partner with that, and we'll be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that stuff's really neat. Like, what are my promoters saying, and what are my detractors saying, and what kind of words are they using to describe it? So Mark is saying, nothing to do with the reporting, but please consider a webinar together with Zapier. They have done those with other apps. We really want to have customers zapped over with the time delay. We have to figure that out yet. Yeah, Mark, just so you know, we are working closely with Zapier on a number of new features. Right now we have the action for creating customers and creating feedback requests. Now we've added triggers, and those are in testing right now, so we're done with that work. Zapier has a really rigorous process to get those documented and in production, which we're working on now. But these triggers will allow you to send like a notification to another system if somebody leaves you a bad review or a good review, or good feedback, or these kinds of things. So we're working closely, and then they've promised to do some outreach with us after that. So anyways, I'm glad to hear you're using Zapier. I think it's a really cool. I'm seeing people come up with really neat scenarios, And I'd love to hear more about your scenario. So if you would just email me, I want to make sure what the zaps we're adding and the cool stuff we're adding will support what you're trying to do.
Heidi asked if we'd thought about adding the ability to compare your location to competitors.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that we've talked about over time. It's obviously a little bit more difficult in, both identifying whether it's a self-identification of who competitors are or an automatic identification. It is definitely something that we've talked about, especially at at a reviews level, right? Because it's hard to, we wouldn't have access to understand what their NPS is and their breakdown and survey questions and things like that. They might not even be doing anything with it. But at a review level, it is something that we've discussed and continue to have interest in, and I wouldn't rule that out in the medium to long-term future of the product.
And then Adam says, when will the default feedback question, how did you feel about your experience with us, be editable? I've had several customers ask this. Yeah, Adam, we've had that request a number of times, and we do have that feature, a ticket for that. I don't know where it's at right now. I'll have to check, but I will definitely go give that one a thumbs up. I wrote that down we've got so many things we're working on. I'll just try and add some priority to that one. Thanks for that. Frank's saying, yeah, with the photos, dealerships like to take happy photos with their buyers. Yep, for sure.
Justin, to your earlier question about white labeling, the white label process is always sign up and create your account. Once you've created your account, then send us an email just to support at GetFiveStars and tell us you want a white label, and we'll respond and walk you through that quick process to take care of that. So
and if you would like a conversation about how to value add the white label, which I think was part of your question, reach out to me, Mike at GetFiveStars, and I'd be glad to set up an appointment on some ideas on how to price it and value add it.
Cool. All right. Do you guys think we've captured all the questions? When I was presenting, I got lost track.
One more. Yeah, Will asked, replying to reviews and basically asking, like, are we looking at the ability to respond from within the platform? That's another thing we've had some conversations on, and I believe a couple of the sites do allow it, a couple don't, but it is definitely something we're considering. Our ultimate holistic goal is, you want, and you can assume by this, right, is turning GetFiveStars into the most, customer-centric platform for your feedback and reviews, right? So we want you to be able to do as many things as possible in our platform, which includes responses. We have a number of ideas around that we're starting to push out a little bit further, but review responses is one of them that we would, love to take a little bit further and offer in the platform. So it's definitely something that's on our mind. Will also asked about the ability to share reviews onto social sites, and Don, do you want to comment on that? You're probably more familiar with the timeline on that.
Yeah, we we definitely have that in the works. That is one of those features that it's devilishly complex in terms of there's so many different ways to do it, and we think when we work on a feature like this, we really spend time thinking about how it would be used and what the best options are to make it really streamlined, and so that it's not like a nine-headed beast, but it's something that's elegant and smooth. And so we have we're narrowing in on this. It's definitely something we spent a lot of time on. I don't have a timeline for you yet, but it's in the near term, not in the long term. All right. And then,
right. Well, I think that summarizes stuff with reports. Again, we're really excited to roll those out next week, and so be ahead. Hopefully, when you wake up Monday, as long as you don't wake up at like 3 a.m., they should be waiting for you at normal business hours. And yeah, start putting them to use, and please do email us any feedback or thoughts or ideas you have with that, and we'll gather and capture just as we always do. We love listening to what you guys have to say, and we kind of compare that up against things we're working on and what makes sense and how many people have asked for it and everything else, and that's how we help model some of the features and the improvements that we're constantly building into the platform. So thank you for that.
Yep. Okay, so let's switch back to the presentation. We have a few industry updates. Things have been happening in the industry, and we wanted to share a few of those with you. Um, so four different things that I wanted to go into. Mike, I think Aaron's going to take two, and Mike's going to take two. But these are just things that are happening in the industry that we think, are interesting, and that you might want to know about if you haven't already noticed it. And so we want to talk about that a little bit. So first, talk about with Aaron about this article about Chipotle. I'm going to go grab the URL for that while you're chatting, and I'll paste it in the chat window. But Aaron, do you want to kind of give us a little summary of what was going on here?
Yeah, so Street Fight Mag published a really interesting article, kind of highlighting. Most of us are probably aware of some of the challenges that Chipotle has faced within the last year. But this article really highlighted a few things that the main of it is that Chipotle kind of learned things too slow as to what was going wrong with a few different factors. That if they would have been using, a real-time reputation management system like GetFiveStars, they would have had an easier way for customers to be talking to them in real time, and they would have seen things pop up that contributed to them. They had a 22% drop in the last quarter in sales, and what they really found out was wait times were kind of brutal, the staff was inexperienced, and they were missing ingredients. And those three things were on repeat a number of times, but they were surveying at a very long time frame, like a quarterly type survey. So by the time they rolled up those results, it was at the same time they also knew that sales had just took a dive for the quarter. So instead of being able to deal with it in real time, figure out what's going on, and see a trend happening in a matter of weeks, it took them a quarter to kind of figure out and compare those things up to it. So really interesting, a lot of great numbers with it, and really helping you understand just having that proactive ping to your customers, or easy ways for them to passively come back to you and click a link on your website to leave you feedback. One thing I found interesting, if you go to Chipotle's website, they do have on their main navigation, they do have a nav choice called Talk to Us, which I think is fabulous. But the first thing it directs you to is an FAQ. Then you have to click to a sub menu and choose email, and then once you do that, that's a little bit bulky to go through the process to choose which location, and then you have to tell them when you were there and the time and all these other things. So I just really tell people to focus on, make it as easy as possible for your customer to leave feedback. Our short URL allows you to quickly place a link on any website that says, give us feedback or talk to us or tell us how we did. And just by providing that link on your website, somebody who is frustrated or needs to be heard or even wants to pay you a compliment, yes, those can happen, just as you guys have shown us today, and they're very appreciated. You make it easy for them to quickly get to the point where they can tell you what they want to tell you. And to me, that was really the two high-level things is real-time reputation management and make it easy for your customers to talk to you.
One other high-level point here, Aaron, I think that everybody who's using GetFiveStars should consider: don't poison your customers.
That is a good one. We'll never try to have E. coli or anything bad in our software.
Okay, good plan.
And to Jeff and Courtney, I just and everyone, I posted a link to this article in the chat window below, which is different than the questions and answered window. I tried posting it to everyone in the question and answering window as well. So hopefully you guys, okay, yeah, I see you got it. Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you, Aaron. The next one I had up was something that you wrote about Facebook recommendations.
Yeah, so I did a blog post on the GetFiveStars blog earlier in the month. Something that I had really been noticing a lot. So last fall, Facebook rolled out a feature called recommendations. And anytime someone on Facebook is asking for an auto mechanic in the area or who has the best hamburgers, things like that, Facebook will trigger a recommendation feature that allows your friends to be able to respond and then tag those businesses. And it gives kind of a little, a little snippet of that business. and a direct link to their page. So as a business, or for those of you that are agencies and reselling this, it's kind of, to me, is a double whammy, right? It's like, one, you get the power of that personal recommendation that Sarah, who you know, is telling you, like, hey, go to Bob's Grill, it has the best cheeseburger around. But then you're also getting the snippet from Facebook about Bob's Grill, and one of the things they include, besides the address and link to their business page, is what their review rating is. So you can quickly and easily see how strongly of a rated business it is. Not only did you get a personal recommendation, but you can see in mass what do their Facebook reviews look like. And for me, right, I live in a community of about 20,000, and I think this, kind of lends itself to it as well. These recommendations are in my Facebook feed constantly, and especially within different community pages that are out there. It feels like every other post is someone looking for someone to cut down trees. I just saw one in my post the other day. Someone was looking for recommendations on who could paint their ice cream truck. I thought that was a fabulous use of asking for recommendations. So to me, this really speaks to just the power of Facebook reviews are visible in so many different ways. We already know that it's a much easier, a lower barrier to get those reviews because so many people have Facebook accounts. People are also much more comfortable sharing on Facebook, I think, because they feel like when they write a review, it's their connections that are seeing it, not the entire world, which people definitely know when they write something on Google, the entire world is there to see it. And so I think it lends itself that people feel a little bit more at ease to leave those reviews. So Facebook continues to do more and more along the lines of local, but I just think this is a fabulous reason to focus on Facebook because of this recommendations feature and the fact that reviews back up that personal recommendation.
One other interesting point, Aaron, that came up earlier in the week, that Facebook is testing, including local review stars in advertising now to see if it bolsters click-through rate on paid placements. So they're going to be positioning these reviews in the context of paid advertising. And in the world I see going forward, I see on the top of the funnel, I see Google, and on the bottom of the, after the sale, I see Facebook, and I see those two increasingly taking over all the space in both sides, pre and post sale.
Yep. The other interesting thing at the F8 conference is that Facebook released an API to find local business information, right, for lots of businesses. So they're definitely moving more and more in this direction of local. Will was asking, do we have any resources on how to respond on each third-party review site? I know each is different, and I want to learn more about how to respond appropriately.
I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and I don't know that I have written something at Local U in terms of response. I really think it's different at every site. There is some research that shows that responses actually impede people's appreciation of your business at certain sites. I think it's very site dependent. It's something I've been thinking about. If I might try to put something together on it. It's a good point. I really think it is different on every site. I think the best thing at Yelp is to typically not respond, right? I think the best thing at Facebook is to typically respond. I think it depends a lot on the context, but it's a great point. We don't have anything really formal.
Good idea though, Will. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, and I'll take this opportunity. If you haven't left us a kind Facebook review, please feel free to do so. We love hearing from you guys there, and more. Facebook's an important one for us because we're not a local business, so Google reviews just don't matter as much to us. But absolutely, Facebook reviews matter very much. So if you haven't liked our page, please feel free to do so, and we'd love to hear from you on Facebook.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for that update, Aaron. Now, Mike had published an article about some KPIs, which are like key performance indicators for local. So, right, Mike, do you want to chat about that?
So I'm doing a series based on some research I did last fall with in Barbara Oliver. So far, there's two parts of the series that have been published. One is the key performance indicators in local and where do they come from. The other is attribution and how to how do these contribute to sales? What I did was I identified low funnel key performance indicators, requests for driving directions, click to calls, fill out forms, Facebook messages that clearly indicated an intent, and then looked at those across in one business. Barbara Oliver, in this case, Julie, looked at those across every resource that we could gather. Her website, where we did event tracking, Google, Yelp, which provided that data, Bing, which provided that data, and any place else I could find that data, and determined that what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years in this is that Google is delivering directly on Google, not 70% of these key performance indicators, that the action is taking place on Google at a rate of about 3 to 1 over what's happening on our website, and at a rate of 20 to 1 over what's happening at Yelp or Facebook. That so the number one contributor to these indicators was Google search results, where people were taking behaviors right then and there. Number two was the website. But then when you broke out the website and looked at where did that website traffic come from, the bulk of that traffic came from Google. So in the end, Google was contributing roughly 90% of all the key performance indicators, either through directly on Google or through web traffic. When we then, in the second part of the study, compared that to new customers and how they found out about Barbara, what we determined was that even though advertising was the most expensive part of her budget in terms of radio and billboard and Yellow Pages, that only contributed 9% of her new customers. 33% of her new customers came from traditional word of mouth, and the balance, I think that's 58%, came from reading reviews on the internet, which is an interesting answer. Barbara would try to figure out where they read the reviews, and people would say on the internet. If you relate that back to the key performance research, what that really means is they're reading the bulk of the reviews on the Google page for Barbara, and typically making a decision there. So, and then there'll be a third part to this sort of ideas on how to manage your page at Google as if it were your home page, given that I think Google is the new homepage. If that's where the action is taking place, then you need to start thinking about how to construct that page for optimal conversion. So Donna's put the links to these in the chat area if you'd like to read them, and love your comments in the blog post or offline.
And then Justin asked a question, what review network have you benefited from the most for GetFiveStars as a company? I ask because you mentioned the importance of Facebook reviews yourself.
Yeah, I would say, Facebook, and then, we have a handful of reviews on G2 Crowd, G, the number 2, and then Crowd. That's obviously been a helpful one for us. So those are a couple of the places that when someone's doing research and digging a little deeper into comparing us versus other tools, obviously getting firsthand experience from other users is definitely beneficial. So I would say those are the two, and those are the two that if you have time, we'd love a review of one or the other that you can share.
And I would say, though, that the feedback has been critical in allowing us to understand the problems people are having and improve our product and reach out individually to people to help them understand the problem and use it. So the feedback has been incredibly valuable to us, some very actionable, both at a specific business level as well as in terms of our product design. I mean, we think that the feedback is invaluable. Can't put a price on it. Was I supposed to talk about one other thing? Oh, Google's upgrade today, was it?
Yeah, here it is. Word of mouth dominates in local attribution.
Yeah, that was the
really
second part of my research.
And then you had a blog post on your blog about Google highlighting businesses with better reviews, so that was the other.
Yeah, so one of the common search phrases these days is best of something, best dentist, best jeweler, best restaurant, and either geomodified or implied geography. And Google is now pre-sorting those results and providing in the local pack those businesses that have 4 stars or higher, and then allowing users to go in and segment those results on half star rating differentials. So sort of Google is sort of doubling down on reviews in terms of their presentation and quality of reviews and business in light of that, which I may point out in the article that given Google's laxness about their review spam algorithm, I think it's important. I've been writing a lot about Google review spam in my blog. It's important that Google sort of double down there as well, because a certain number of businesses are cheating in the Google review world. So.
Great. Thanks, Mike. I recognize that we're kind of going over time. Last week we sort of I ended it abruptly because we ran over, and then we thought, let's just go over, and if people have to leave, and we're trying to be respectful of your time, if people have to leave, then feel free to drop off. I think we just have a couple more things. I want to make sure we answered everybody's questions, so we're gonna stick around this week. And yeah, so any other questions that you guys have? I'm going to stop the recording now, and we're going to wrap things up, but we're going to stick around and answer any questions, and I see a couple rolling in now. So thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it.